I must say that being at Alleyne School for 7 years was one of the best things. Yeah, one of the best things that could ever happen to my life. So today I want to pass on the stole, which is supposed to be the candlelight. So I want to pass on this to Miss Carol Watson, who's the representative of the sixth form, and I want them to understand that they carry a brand, the best brand in Barbados, the best. With the best sixth formers too, yes? All right, so come on. Thank you.
Good morning. On behalf of the lower sixth class that are now stepping into some big shoes to fill, we would like to thank you, and hopefully we are able to keep up the legacy that our upper sixers are leaving. Thank you very much.
Mr. Joshua Dorfel, Miss Janine Marshall, and Mr. Shem White to the stage as they will be delivering some reflections for you all.
Masters of Ceremonies, representative of the Board of Management, Mr. Dwight Mapp, principal, best principal, let me not say that, but principal in Barbados, my principal, Miss Julia Beckles, deputy principal, Mr. Troy Phillips, our senior teacher, Miss Renee Batson, members of staff, the upper sixth class of 2022. Shabba. Parents and guardians, members of the press, today we are going to be just giving our reflections, and this morning I'm going to invite Mr. Joshua Dorval to come and give his reflection.
Morning to the school, morning everyone. My arrival to Alleyne was a bit unexpected. It first started with a few applications to other schools, but naturally, Alexandra, my alma mater, was my first choice, and at the time my only choice. Although it was set to go back to Alexandra, I went with the saying, do not put all your eggs in one basket. After a while of waiting for replies and constant trips and calls to Alexandra, I checked my email and saw an email from one Miss Beckles. I was a bit puzzled. I wondered if our principal had changed from the previous term. Upon opening the email, I saw it was from Alleyne School. A part of me wanted to withhold this information from my household because I knew if they knew about this acceptance, they would push me to go. Finally, I gave in and spilled the news. And after a bit of back and forth, some talk with my family members, we made a deal for me to accept, go to school till the end of the first week. If I liked it, and if Alexandra did not respond, I would stay. To be honest, I had no idea where Alleyne was. It was kind of foreign to me. St. Andrew and the whole was foreign to me. I was a bit anxious, but in the back of my head, I would just be there for maybe 1 or 2 days. I then found myself in the office all alone. This was the first time I had gone to a school where I knew no one, other than maybe 3 children, let alone who was going to be in my class. I met the principal for the first time, and some words that stuck with me until now, young man, pull out that pants. I did it with no hesitation. Before I got to class, I had to choose my subjects, which I honestly had no intention of doing but even so, when Miss Batson told me I would have to do art, I was very uneasy. It took me back to those days where I never passed art, and my highest mark was 49%. Walking into the class, I think my heart dropped. When the whole class stopped what they were doing and looked at me, I was quite relieved that they didn't make me stand up to talk in front of the class to introduce myself, because that was not me. But 2 years later, look where I am. My first ever assignment for class was an entrepreneurship essay, which was like 400 words in an hour, which I believe I wrote, but it had nothing to do with the subject. The first person I interacted with was Joshua Whitehall. We were both Joshuas, which turned out to be an advantage and disadvantages, but I wouldn't comment, just say if you know, you know. After the first day of touring with Josh and meeting people, I went home thinking, this school ain't bad, to be honest. That day, I arrived home to the news that Alexandra accepted me back. At the moment, I made a decision, which was hard for me, to continue at Alleyne for the new experience. This opened my eyes to show me that although I longed for a familiarity of Alexandra, I had to let go. I had to move on. Earlier, I spoke of having challenges with art. One class of all I thought I was never going to pass. But after the help, guidance, and motivation of a mother figure like Miss Bascom, I achieved a grade 3 for the first time and was able to create some interesting pieces. This was an achievement and showed me with the right guidance, I could do anything. I also want to thank Miss Brown for the help she gave me and the time she dedicated to assisting me with my SBA. Thank you. I would also like to thank all teachers and all teaching staff, Mr. Haley, Mr. Worrell, Mr. Watts, Ms. Hammonds, Ms. Webb, Ms. Branch, Ms. Wilkie, Ms. Stout, Ms. Cox, and Mrs. Batson. A sincere thanks goes to Mr. Phillips, Ms. Beckles, Mr. Moore. Those I may not have mentioned, thank you. If you are any way linked to this school, I give you thanks for making me feel at home during this short stay. Thanks.
Good morning. Today, the 20th of July 2022, as I look back on entering sixth form in October of 2020, I am truly grateful for the experience over these past 2 years. I joined my fellow classmates 1 week after sixth form had originally started, and upon entering the classroom on the 19th of October 2020, I saw lots of familiar faces and 4 unknown faces to be exact. Even though I knew everyone in the class except the new boys, I stuck with my friend Caroline. Better believe we were and still are but I know. I would only talk to others if it was anything work related. After a while, I started to hang out with my classmates during the lunchtime and realized how cool they were. Throughout these 2 years, we only managed to have 2 terms face-to-face. But I could say I had nothing but fun with my classmates, and I wouldn't change the group of children I entered into the sixth form with in 2020. I am grateful for all the good memories and new friends I have gained over these 2 years. I love you all and will miss you dearly, but this is just the beginning of the great things life has in store for us. To my teachers, who I can now call my friends, I thank you. Over these 2 years, you have taught us so much, not only school-related stuff, but things about the world we will now enter, and how to prepare ourselves, and for these lessons, we are grateful. We may not have always been good students, meaning we sometimes neglected our work and maybe sometimes late for classes or engaged in activities that were not related, TikTok. But despite all of that, you were always willing to help and guide us in the right path. To the teachers who may have not taught us throughout the 2 years, but were always there to be a listening ear, to give us advice, or to just be there when we needed someone. Thank you, and we appreciate you. To my subject teachers, a big heartfelt thanks to you for making sure we always had lots of work to keep us busy. Thank you for the extension on assignments and SBA deadlines, because if not for the extra time, I don't know where we would be right now. Thanks again. To Ms. Haynes, thank you for your sarcasm and just being you. To Mrs. Brown, thank you for the endless love and encouraging words. To Ms. Cox, thank you for the endless information and stories. To Ms. Wilkie, thank you for your love and your beautiful smile that could always cheer us up. To Ms. Pilgrim, thank you for always believing in me and always telling me I could do it, especially these past few months of school. To Mrs. Bascom, thank you for always being happy and straightforward. To Mr. Haley, thank you for all the jokes and fun times. To Ms. Hammond, thank you for being the best form teacher, especially because we were your first ever form. To Mrs. Batson, thank you for being the best year ahead. And last but not least, to my favorite of 7 years, Ms. Stokes. If I stood here today and talk about the bond we share, I could write a book. Thank you for always being there for me, the love, the support, the encouragement, and most of all, always believing in me when I didn't and when others didn't. For this, I thank you. I love you. I will miss you all dearly. This is definitely not goodbye.
Yes, and as I continue, in this life that we live, there are many transitions. For example, educationally, we move from daycare to preschool, then from preschool to nursery, from nursery to primary school, from primary school to secondary school, and then to tertiary education. So as we, the outgoing opposites, transition from one level of from the level of education, of secondary education, we become excited, but at the same time, we become sometimes confused and flustered and overwhelmed, and we start to think about what we really want to do after we leave this school. This is due to the fact that for 7 years, we've been in an environment where we have relative dependency on teachers, on our parents. Then we realize that we have to transition into a new phase where we now have unlimited choices, and we now have to make our choices on our own. However, if I can leave you with the scripture, you all know that I have to, do a little scripture, you know how it is, Shabbat, amen. It says in Proverbs chapter 3, verse 5 to 6, trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not to thy own understanding, but in all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy path. So as long as we trust God and seek God in every choice that we make, then we will have a vision of where we should go or what we should do. So as I borrow a quote from Miss Beckles that she borrowed from the book Alice in Wonderland all the time, it says, the cat asked Alice, where do you want to go? Alice had no idea of where she wanted to go. But then the cat says, it doesn't matter which way you go. This can be interpreted as, if you don't have a vision for yourself, you can take any route to be successful. However, the route that you might take could hinder and could challenge and can make you stagnant in the path to the success. So I'm sure that when we were born, our parents had a vision for us, and trust you, my mother's in the back, and she must enforce lashes for me to get to that place. And you can see the example and the results of that. Our parents ensure that we reach the level in life where we can now say that our parents have raised us well, and ensure that we are equipped enough to transition into the world. Our principal, deputy principal, form teacher, teachers, but not forgetting Ms. Lashley, who has gone on to do more things, and our teachers in all had a vision for us as soon as we walked into the Alleyne school. I call it the best vision in the education sector, and that is to be the most disciplined students in the most disciplined school, achieving a minimum of 5 CSCs and CVQs, and that we be engaged in lifelong learning, even if it means that we must come to school every day in the COVID-19 pandemic. If it means that we are to come to school every day when other students will have a phased approach. It took a long process, and time, and the time did not go in vain. So I want to thank you, teachers, for the sacrifice, the hard work, and everything that you have given to us to ensure that we're equipped for this world that continues to change drastically. Finally, I want to applaud us. Applaud yourselves. After the trials that we've gone through from the year 2020, from COVID-19 to the volcanic eruption and the ash, from Hurricane Elsa letting it go on us some way, a phase where we almost had 2 terms online in this academic year, in the past academic year. And if we have come this far and we've made it to this point, surely without a shadow of doubt, we can surely make it at any other level in our lives. So my encouragement to you, my peers that I love so much and that I love to annoy so much, do not give up. Keep going, keep learning, keep striving, and continue to be the better version of yourself. And one last thing, Alleyne, non sibi, for others, not self. Thank you so much.
Once again, those words were delivered by Joshua Dorval, Janae Marshall, and Shem White. Thank you so much, and we invite Mr. Goodrich to present us with a slideshow where we get to experience some of the beautiful memories.
Principal, Ms. Julie Beckles, Deputy Principal, Mr. Troy Phillips, members of staff, Upper Sixth Class of 2022, parents and guardians, members of the press, I greet you today happy to have reached the end of yet another successful completion of 2 years of academic endeavor, this time by the students of the class of 2022. Coincidentally, last year's groups would have exited on the 20th, but of August. Today, the 20th of July, 15 students sit here, themselves acknowledging the culmination of 2 years of hard work. Let's give them a round of applause for that. These students, like their predecessors, should be commended for not deviating from the task. This class started as a slightly larger group. Some shifted their academic focus, some went into the world of work. We have 21 students, mostly Alleynians, who have called this institution home and took advantage of the tertiary education that Alleyne School has to offer. I said earlier this morning that it was the one class of all that have passed through that the boys were far greater in number than the girls, and it still exists to this day. Many may have passed through the hallowed halls of Alleyne School, but thus far only a small set can speak of the privilege to have pursued CAPE studies here. Not all may be represented here for various reasons, but they have all left memories and cast impressions on us that will stay for eternity. Class of 2022, you know who I speak of, you know who you are. I deliberately echo a sentiment that I shared at last year's ceremony. You students have added value to the school you are now leaving. Each one of you is equipped to move yourselves to greater things in life. I will remember the leaders, the enthusiastic helpers, and especially the triumphant individuals who have made it through 2 different and very trying years. I wish you all the best in your future endeavors, and I pray you proceed to greater levels of prosperity in the future. I'm going to take the words offered by Shem in his reflection and suggest that you need to let God be your guide in everything that you do. Truly, I want to express appreciation to the administration of the Alleyne School, who continue to be supportive of the endeavors of the year team and the group of students. Thank you, Madam Principal and Mr. Mapp, for your remarks and the sentiments that were offered. Lower Sixth student Adaria has shown her worth. I want to thank her because she sang well, and on behalf of the group, I really want to express my gratitude for when being asked, she did not say no, and she delivered extremely well. I especially would like to thank our guest speaker, Ms. Maynard, for enthusiastically returning to her stomping ground. She said a resounding yes in the absence of any details that could be provided. I guess she just, wanted to return and have her presence be felt. It is always a pleasure when former students willingly return and give back, this time in the form of thought-provoking and encouraging words that were made to the students. Crystal, Ms. Maynard, I thank you. Special thanks to Ms. Stout and Ms. Lane Springer for their collaborative effort in presenting the students with their stoles and certificates. I have to say that Mr. Shem White has proven himself yet again quite worthy. He and some student helpers yesterday set up the sound system, and he also orchestrated the return of the pop band. For those of you who would have been early this morning, would have had the opportunity to listen to. So I want to say thank you to outgoing student Shem, and I'm sure that the teachers here could possibly wonder how will we ever replace Shem. I want to say thank you, Shem. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. And I also want to thank Mr. Goodrich for perfecting what he would have started yesterday. Thank you so much, Mr. Goodrich. To the lower six students who volunteered and provided ushering duties under the direction of Mrs. Bascom, who also would have prepared the flowers for this event, I want to say thank you. I go a little further to say thank you to Mr. Eiffel, who is responsible for the light refreshments that you will partake of, and also Ms. Lewis, who had a significant part in donating to this cause. I want to say thank you to Ms. Niles and the office staff for their behind the work scenes. I really want to say thank you last, but by no means least. She said to me this morning that this was her first official performance of an MC task, but I think that you will agree with me that she did a commendable service this morning, going into lunchtime. And I want to thank you to the parents and the guardians who are here supporting your children. You are valued and you are appreciated. And finally, I would like everyone to give the class of 2022 a rousing round of applause for showing up, for staying on task, for being here today. So join me, and I'm sure that all of us will wish you the best for your years to come. Thank you so very much. Stealing Miss Hammond's duties for a moment, I just want to invite you to stand where you are as we sing the school song.
Thank you to Antoine Holder and Shem White, and of course to the year ahead of the sixth form, Mrs. Renee Batson, for that fantastic closing remark. All the very best in everything that you do. With that being said, I ask you to stand because we're coming to the end. And, Deshaun is taking a picture. I ask you all to stand, and I invite you to leave on your recession. And as they do so, I also invite you, the audience, to be led by the head party to follow the graduates towards the light refreshments that we have prepared. The class of 2022, I see that you all are enjoying yourselves, and that is wonderful. The guest speaker would like to take a picture with all of you, so please do indulge her with that.